Later, when they do subtitles for this, it'll be like Sean scatting or whatever. Well, at least it's not the other kind of scatting. All right, guys, listen up. All right, so first off, I'm requesting subjects to talk on, just because I actually think this channel would have value if the only thing I did was talk for an hour every day. And by the way, that's a show. That's like a whole deal. And by the way, I would love to be a guest on other people's thing. And I think I would be a good guest because I can fill up time and be interesting. So please, hit me up so that I can be a guest on your thing. Like, I have Discord. I don't know. If it's something else, you'll have to kind of tell me how to do it. Like how to get on there. Boy, I'm overdue for a haircut. Okay, hold on. I had it memorized, but then it went away. Age, insecurity, feeling behind your peers. Okay, so a guy said talk about age insecurity, feeling behind your peers, and I guess he's about to turn 30 or just turned 30, and that's a big watershed in your life. And boy, do I have something to say on this topic, and you're gonna love it. And I think you young guys are gonna greatly benefit. But I want to put up a few things first, like as a preface. First off is, I never say that people should do or believe like I do. So nothing's ever a preachment. Like, well, if you follow my advice, you're possibly just as likely to have something terrible happen. I don't know. So use at your own risk. The other thing is a Zen story. Oh my gosh, I love Zen stories. This one goes like this. A man goes into a butcher shop and he says, hey, what's the best cut of meat? And the butcher says, they're all the best cut of meat. And when he left, he was enlightened. So the nature of the Tao, or all that is that it can't be understood. And the nature of Zen stories is there's no explanation for them. So the explanation I'm about to give you, well, that might not be right. And I'm not proposing that it is right, but it is my explanation, or what I got out of it, which is that every moment, every station in life can be a good one. And there isn't something better or worse. It's just different things. This goes along with you can never step in the same river twice, and the Zen story about the bicycle. I'm not very good at telling this one. I'll just go ahead and tell it to you anyway. So there's a temple, and the master sends 3 acolytes, I don't know what they're called, out to, like apprentices, out to get groceries. And they come back and he says, oh, see, this is why I'm so terrible about it. And so one of them, he says, so how did it go? What was your experience? And one of them says, well, I just took my bike, I went and I got the groceries like you asked, and I came back. And he says, that's a good explanation. And then the other one says, well, when I'm riding my bike, I feel the wind in my hair, I feel the sensation of pedaling along, and I notice the trees going by. And he says, that also is a good explanation. And then the third student says, when I'm riding my bike, I'm riding my bike. And he says, that's the best explanation. So there you go. That's kind of like my thing. I always view that one as a metaphor for thinking or for meditation. That the second guy, that's what I call distraction meditation. So you hear about meditation, oh, I'm going to meditate on this. It's like you're going to sit in lotus position and literally just, it's like clear your mind, blank your mind, don't think about anything. Well, that doesn't work for most humans. Your mind just sort of just chattering constantly, and you just inevitably you just start thinking about something. So distraction meditation is one step up. Excuse me. Is one step up because it silences your mind by filling it with something else. You're listening to the air conditioning. You're noticing things that are happening around you. Also called mindfulness. And because the brain is not necessarily your friend. I read a book that said, take a day, and by the way, I'm getting to the guy's topics. He says, take a day and imagine that everything, all the self-talk that you have all day long and what your brain is telling you is like a person that's like riding along with you or standing next to you or whatever. Externalize it. And of course I did this and I'm just like, oh yeah, my brain is terrible. All it did all day long was conjure up terrible scenarios of how things could go wrong and just like gut-wrenching worry about everything. And you might think, well, Sean, you seem so cheerful. Well, it's because when that little red light appears, I don't know why it is, when that red light comes on, I'm being recorded, like I just get like this manic energy. And by the way, that's a gift. Some people that I know have called it the gift of gab, that I can just get in front of a bunch of people and just talk for an hour, blah, 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 blah. And of course, it's bad. It's bad on a date sometimes because I just talk and talk and talk and talk. You know, one of those people. So anyway, can I find the trailhead again? No. Oh yeah, meditation. So that was step one, is I externalized my thoughts, and then I did a bunch of distraction meditations, which is really good, like walking meditations. I'll just tell you a few real quick. Again, before I launch into this fan's question, is so for example, here's a really good one. Like if you're really suffering inside your mind and you just can't get it to calm down, find a strip of sidewalk. There's no one else around, even if you got to do it at a certain time of day. And take off your shoes and socks, put the socks inside the shoes, carry your shoes in one hand or both hands. And so now you're barefoot on this sidewalk, and what you're going to do is you're going to close your eyes, and you're going to walk straight forward in a line, and you're going to do it really slowly, like 1 foot up at a time. And you may veer off, because you'll step on the grass or whatever, or you'll step onto rocks or whatever. Your mind will immediately shut down, and it will use all of its concentration and thoughts on your bare feet. You will not be able to think about something else. And you might even like hit a branch or something like that with your face. So, by the way, be safe with this. You can't, like my disclaimer in the beginning, I can't be held responsible. You've got to use your own common sense. Okay, so now let's talk about age insecurity and feeling behind your peers. Now, I'm 53, and my dad only lived to be 59. So, in my brain, I think, oh, well, the end is coming soon. And maybe, but that's not necessarily true. My mother lives on, and she is in her mid-70s. I mean, obviously, you just do the math, 53 plus at least 20. And she's still going. And so I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But anyway, I am 53, so I've been 30. And let me just headline it for you. You're worried about nothing. Like all those things that I thought to be worried about, they never came to pass. And also, the time that you're in, that is the good time. So if you're young and just playing video games, and for whatever reason you don't have a lot of responsibility, or you're not really on a high wire, you're on the low wire, like even if you fell off, not much would happen. That's a great place in life to be. Those are the good times. You are back to the butcher shop. Every cut of meat is good. So every single year of your life is going to be good for different reasons. It's going to be amazing. I look at a young dad who's maybe in his 30s, and I'm like, I'm not envious of that guy, because it's bone-crunching labor to have a child. But I look at it, I'm like, well, that's the magic time. When you got a little baby, you've got a young wife, that's a magic time too. So every time is magic. And sometimes, like recently, I've gone back and looked at some of the houses. Like I get on Google Maps, Google Street View, I think it's called, and I go back and look at places that I've lived, and there's just a wave of good nostalgia comes over you. And that is like a psychological thing where you look back and you take out all the bad parts, and you just imagine it in sort of those rose-colored glasses. So, and that is true, because look, if I really look at it, it's like, yeah, I was miserable during that time. But the misery came from inside, and that's why I told you those other stories about meditation and mindset and things. Like if I could go back in time and be in that younger body and be in that younger position, I'd do it in a heartbeat, unless I couldn't take my current state of consciousness with me. Because if I couldn't, and I was just as worried about things, just as high-strung, then I definitely wouldn't do it. And that's my insight for people that are right around turning age 30. Age insecurity and feeling behind your peers, that's all, none of that matters. It's all okay. It's okay to not have kids. It's okay to not get married. These are all like social programs that I gotta tell you are not in your best interest. And frankly, if you just lived your whole life and just lived it for yourself, that would be okay. It's all right. It's, you know, your life is your own. And that would be my huge advice for my kids. And something all of my children know well from my parenting style, which is your life is your own. And as a father, my default answer has always been yes. Like, I don't say no to my kids unless there's some pressing reason why they can't do so, like they're going to have imminent harm done to them. You know, like I'd say use of hard drugs. Like if they were like, hey, I'm going to go shoot up on heroin, I'd be like, oh yeah, you probably don't want to do that, because that has serious repercussions, and they're going to happen pretty soon. Same with childbearing. Like you got to get the timing right on that. It can be really amazing, or it can be bone crunching, or a giant stress ball. But you know, I don't know their story, so they just have to live their lives how they're going to live them, and I'm just interested to see what happens. So I have some, jokingly, I can't say it on camera, but I have like 5 rules, like, yeah, you absolutely can't, you cannot do these things, don't do it. And I said, but other than that, please go enjoy your lives and be how you are. And my role I view as supporting them, like actually, what's that called? Facilitating the things that they want to do. So let's see, one of the other ones, oh, I can't remember. Hold on. What are the ones I can say on camera? Oh, gambling. Yeah, don't. Gambling is like a never-ending pit that will destroy your life. Okay, so back to whatevers. All right. Yes, age. So yeah, that's what. Don't look at people. Oh, look, we got married. We're having kids. Well, you know, that's great. Getting married, having kids is awesome. But you should make your own custom arrangement for your life and live your life how you want to have it. And not beware, and I'd say this to my kids because I know if I'm gone, they're going to go back to all these YouTube videos and look at them. And by the way, download them as quick as you can. Like screen grab them or whatever you got to do, and archive them, make copies, distribute them to the other siblings, and because I never know when YouTube is going to blow up. Okay, so yeah. So here's the deal. People, and this has to do with this fan that was like, well, what about age anxiety? People and organizations are going to come along and they're going to want to claim your life. They're going to want a piece of you. Let me give you some examples. The United States federal government requires enrollment in selective service. That's the draft. That is a claim, good or bad. I'm not making a statement here, but for whatever reason or motivation it is still a claim on your life to say you must go and you must harm these other people, or you have to go to war. Again, I'm unwise to make a judgment on it. You have to make your own judgment. But looked at objectively, it is a claim on your life. Parents and relatives, they commonly will make a claim on your life. Religious institutions often make a claim on your life. I was a Mormon for 27 years, and they make a claim on everything, and lock, stock, and barrel, past, present, and future. But again, for good or ill, whether you volunteer to give that up or whether you don't, you should at least be aware of it. Step back, go, wait a second, this person's making a claim on my life, saying I have to run it in a certain way. And again, not saying good or bad, but marriage is that way too. And marriage is just a thing. It's a construct. And it can take many different forms too. I think a lot of people nowadays are making custom arrangements. And if you're going to make a custom arrangement, well, then maybe there's a point where it's not even, shouldn't even be called marriage anymore. And again, I just want to be clear, I'm not making a statement on any of these things. I'm just saying that they exist. And as you're getting older, you should just be aware of it. And if you're going to give up that sovereignty over yourself, then at the very least, you should just be aware of it. So, with that, I think if I had to go back and do it over again, I would just be more aware of it and probably less inclined to give up sovereignty over my life and over my body as well. Like, this body belongs to me, it doesn't belong to anybody else, and I can do with it what I please to do with it. And there you go. So anyone that comes along and says, hey, you're doing something I don't like, and you need to instead live your life this different way because it would please me, and if you don't do that, then you're being selfish. I mean, you gotta at least observe sort of how that seems a little upside down. It's like, yeah, but I'm not making a claim on your life and saying you should do something. So, for example, I had an old Mormon friend of mine, and I just let out a couple of swear words, and he was like, hey, please don't swear around me. And I'm like, that's fine, totally get it. However, maybe we should just do the opposite. Maybe when you're around me, you should swear more, and I should decide what you're gonna do. And that argument didn't go overly well, but at least it was made. So I'm sure I've said a lot of things that I might get rapped on the knuckles for. But again, that rapping of knuckles, that's somebody else telling me how I should live my life and what I should say and what I should think. And I think, you know what, I'd add to that list of people and organizations that might make a claim on your life, and I might add social media, which is, of course, an expression of society, kind of telling you what it is that you can and can't say or can and can't do. Live your life for yourself. So age insecurity and feeling behind your peers. I don't know what your specific thing is. Like I'm kind of filling in the gaps. But if you're feeling behind your peers because their careers are more forward or whatever, you know what? Or they're getting married or they're having kids or all these traditional things. You know what? That's them. That's not you. You might just have a different direction, a different expression to be. Specifically with the having kids thing. Again, I don't know what this guy's situation is, but it's okay. We need a lot of cool aunts and uncles to take the pressure off the people that are actually trying to raise these kids, because it's a lot of effort, man. Especially when they're young babies and toddlers, excuse me. And it's okay. And I have quite a few friends who some of them never had kids. Some of them both didn't have kids and didn't get married. Some of them never got married and still had the kids. Awesome. That works too. Like, you can't second guess those things. For example, when my dad was dying in 2003, I went to take notes of his life and and by the way, I found out some family secrets too. I was like, whoa, what? I thought it was this other way. And he said, the thing I regret is taking you guys in 1979 to the outback of Alaska and not staying in small town Oregon. And I was like, wow, because I thought the exact opposite. He always thought that, I thought that he had like made a mistake, he had sort of ruined the situation. But you know what? He didn't. Going to the outback of Alaska was a formative thing in a positive way for my entire life. And I told him as much, and he was just curious, like, oh, that's really great. Because like he had to reanalyze that in the final moments. And everybody's got to die. So, and you're the only, and you face death. Ultimately, you kind of face death alone. And, well, a lot of people do, literally alone. But it's happening inside of you. And so you got to live life alone as well. You got to, like, live for yourself. Make your own decisions. And what I've found, because I'm at age 53, let me tell you, nothing has turned out like I expected. Every time I followed the rules and did what was expected, it didn't turn out well. But every time I went off the beaten track and went and just did my own thing that was inspiring, that generally has turned out really well. Blue table painting has not turned out the way that I thought it would, but it has turned out really well. I'm running out of battery, so I better wrap it up. And same with going to college. Like, if someone paid me and I had a full ride, like someone said, you should go to college, I'd be like, well, are you going to pay for it? Like everything, room and board and everything, in which case I would definitely go. I would love it. And then, so all these things, they were good, but they weren't what I expected. And now I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I could be gone in a year, or I could last 30 more years. So roll a D30, that's how much you got left. And by the way, I'm rolling it behind the screen. You don't know how much it's going to be. So to you, my friend, who have maybe some age anxiety at age 30, which, by the way, is quite a laugh because you're still quite young and healthy, is to live your life for yourself, live your life in the way that's most inspiring for you, and not worry about what those other people are doing, because nothing turns out the way that you expect, and every time is the good time. Until next time, and give me more things to talk about.